Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to read 1 Samuel 16 to 20, Proverbs 3, and Psalm 67. Let's get started. The Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you be filled with sorrow because of Saul? I refused to have him as king over Israel. Fill your animal horn with olive oil and go on your way. I am sending you to Jesse in Bethlehem, for he has chosen one of his sons to be king." And Samuel said, "How can I go? Suppose Saul hears about it, then he will kill me." The Lord said, "Take your cows and tell the elders of Bethlehem, and I've come to offer a sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, then I'll show you what to do. You must know for me the one I point out to you." Samuel did what the Lord said. He arrived at Bethlehem. The elders of the town met him. They were trembling with fear. They asked, "Have you come in peace?" And Samuel replied, "Yes, I've come in peace. I've come to offer a sacrifice to the Lord." "Set yourselves apart to him and come to the sacrifice with me." Then he set Jesse and his sons apart to the Lord. He invited them to the sacrifice. When they arrived, Samuel saw Eliab. He thought, "This has to be the one the Lord wants me to anoint for him." And the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not consider how handsome or tall he is. I have not chosen him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at, but people look at the outside of the person. But the Lord looks at what is in the heart." Then Jesse called out for Abinadab. He had him walk in front of Samuel. But Samuel said, "The Lord hasn't chosen him either." Then Jesse had Shammah walk by. But Samuel said, "The Lord hasn't chosen him either." But Jesse had 7 of his sons walk in front of Samuel. But Samuel said to him, "The Lord hasn't chosen any of them." So he asked Jesse, "Are these only sons you have?" "No," Jesse answered. "My youngest son is taking care of the sheep." Samuel said, "Send for him. He won't sit down to eat until you arise." So Jesse sent for his son and had him brought in. He looked very healthy. He had a fine appearance and handsome features. Then the Lord said, "Get up and anoint him. This is the one." So Samuel got the animal horn that was filled with olive oil. He anointed David in front of their brothers. From that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully on David. Samuel went back to Ramah. The Spirit of the Lord had left Saul. Then an evil spirit sent by the Lord terrified him. Saul's attendants said to him, "An evil spirit sent by God is terrifying. Give us an order to look for someone who can play the harp. He will play it when the evil spirit sent by God comes on you. Then you will feel better." So Saul said to his attendants, "Find someone who plays the harp well. Bring him to me." One of the servants said, "I've seen someone who knows how to play the harp. He is the son of Jesse from Bethlehem. He's a brave man. He would make a good soldier. He's a good speaker. He's a very handsome, and the Lord is with him." Then Saul sent messengers to Jesse. He said, "Send me your son David, the one who takes care of your sheep." So Jesse got them bread and a bottle of wine. The bottle was made out of animal skin. He also got a young goat. He loaded everything on the back of a donkey. He sent all of it to Saul with his son David. David went to Saul and began to sing. Saul liked him very much. David became one of the men who carried Saul's armor. Saul sent a message to Jesse. Saul said, "Let David stay here. I want him to serve me. I'm pleased with him." When the evil spirit had left, sent by God, would come on Saul, David would get his harp. He implied that this would help Saul. That would help Saul. He would feel better, and the evil spirit would leave him. The Philistines gathered their army together for war. They came to Sokol and Jun. They set up camp at Ephes Dammim. It was between Sokol and Azekah. Saul and the army of Israel gathered together. They camped in the valley of El. They lined up their men to fight against the Philistines. The Philistine army was camped on one hill. Israel's army was on another. The valley was between them. A mighty hero named Goliath came out of the Philistine camp. He was from Gath. He was more than 9 feet tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head. He wore bronze armor that weighed 125 pounds. And on his legs he wore bronze guards. He carried a bronze javelin on his back. His spear was as big as a weaver's rod. His weighed 15 pounds. The man who carried his shield walked along in front of him. Goliath stood there and shouted to the soldiers of Israel. He said, "Why do you come up here and line up for battle? I'm a Philistine. You are servants of Saul. Choose one of your men. Have him come down and face me. If he's able to fight and kill me, we'll become your slaves. But if I win and kill him, he will become our slaves and serve us." Goliath continued, "This day I dare the soldiers of Israel to send a man down to fight against me." So then the whole army of Israel heard what the Philistines said. They were terrified. David was the son of Jesse, who belonged to the tribe of Ephraim. Jesse was from Bethlehem in Judah. He had 8 sons. When Saul was king, Jesse was already very old. Jesse's 3 oldest sons had followed Saul into battle. The oldest son was Eliab, the second was Abinadab, the third was Shammah. David was the youngest. The 3 oldest sons followed Saul. So David went back and forth from Saul's camp to Bethlehem. He went to Bethlehem to take care of his father's sheep. Every morning and evening, Goliath came forward and stood there. He did it for 40 days. Jesse said to his son David, "Get at least half a bushel of grain that is being cooked. First, get 10 loaves of bread. Take all of it to your brother. Hurry to their camp. Take along these 10 chunks of cheese to the commander of their military group. Find out how your brothers are doing. Bring me back some word about them." They are with Saul and all the men of Israel. They are in the valley of El. They are fighting against the Philistines. Early in the morning, David left his father's flock in the care of a shepherd. David loaded up the food and started out. And just as Jesse had directed, David reached out the camp as the army were going out to its battle position. The soldiers were shouting the war cry. The Israelites and the Philistines who were lining up their armies for battle. The armies were facing each other. David left what he had brought with the man who took care of the supplies. He ran to the battle lines and asked his brothers how they were. As David was talking with them, Goliath stepped forward from his line. Goliath was a mighty Philistine hero from Gath. He again dared someone to fight him, and David had. Whenever Israel's army saw Goliath, all of them ran away from him. That's because they were so afraid. The Israelites had been saying, "Just look at how this man keeps staring Israel to find him. The king will make the man who kills Goliath very wealthy. The king will also give his own daughter to be that man's wife. The king won't require anyone in the man's family to pay any taxes in Israel." And David spoke to the men standing there. He asked them, "What will be done for the man who kills this Philistine? Goliath is bringing shame on Israel. What will be done for the one who remains here? This Philistine isn't even circumcised. He dares the enemies of the living God to fight him. Who does he think he is?" The men told David what Israel's soldiers had been saying. The men told him what would be done for the man who killed Goliath. David's oldest brother, Eliab, heard him speaking with him. So Eliab became very angry with him. Eliab asked him, Why have you come down here? Who has taken care of those few sheep in the desert for you? I know how proud you are. I know how evil your heart is. The only reason you came down here was to wash the bow. What have I done now? Said David. Can't I even speak? Then he turned away to see some other men. He asked them the same question as he had asked before, and they gave him the same answer. Someone heard what David said and reported it to Saul. So Saul said for David. David said to Saul, "Don't let anyone lose hope because of that Philistine. I'll go out and fight him." Saul replied, "You aren't able to go out there and fight a Philistine. You are too young. He's been a warrior ever since he was a boy." But David said to Saul, "I've been taking care of my father's sheep. Sometimes a lion or a bear would come and carry off a sheep from the flock. Then I would go after it and hit it. I would save the sheep it was carrying in its mouth. If it turned around to attack me, I would grab its head. I would strike it down and kill it. In fact, I've killed both a lion and a bear. And I will do the same thing to this Philistine. He isn't even circumcised. He is dead the armies of the living God to fight him. The Lord saved me from the paw of the lion. He saved me from the paw of the bear, and he will save me from the powerful hand of this Philistine too." Saul said to David, "Go, and may the Lord be with you." Then Saul dressed David in his own military clothes. He put a coat of armor on him. He put a bronze helmet on his head. David put on Saul's sword over his clothes. He walked around for a while in all that armor because he wasn't used to it. "I can't go out there in all this armor," he said to Saul. "I'm not used to it." So he took it off. Then David picked up his wooden staff. He went down to a stream and chose 5 smooth stones. He put them in the pocket of his shepherd's bag. Then he took a sling in his hand and approached Goliath. At that same time, the Philistines kept coming closer to David. That man carrying Goliath's shield walked along in front of him. Goliath looked David over. He saw how young he was. He saw how healthy and handsome he was, and he hated him. He said to David, "Why are you coming at me with sticks? Do you think I'm only a dog? The Philistines cursed David in the name of his God. Come over here, he said. Now feed your body to the birds and wild animals. David said to Goliath, you are coming to fight against me with a sword or a spear and a javelin. But I'm coming against you in the name of the Lord who rules over. He is the God of the armies of Israel. He's the one you've dared to fight against. This day the Lord will give me the victory over you. Now I'll strike you down. I'll cut your head off. This day I'll feed the bodies of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals. Then the whole world will know there is a God in Israel. The Lord doesn't rescue people by using a sword or a spear, and everyone here will know it. The battle belongs to the Lord. He will hand all you over to us. As the Philistines moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly to the battle line to meet him. He reached into his bag. He took out a stone. He put it in a sling. He slung it at Goliath. The stone hit him on the forehead and sank into it. He fell to the ground on his face. So David won the fight against Goliath with a sling and a stone. He struck down the Philistine and killed him. He did it without even using the sword. David ran and stood over him. He picked up Goliath's sword and cut off his head with it. The Philistines saw that their hero was dead, so they turned around and ran away. Then the men of Israel and Judah shouted and rushed forward. They chased the Philistines to the entrance of Gath. They chased them to the gates of Ekron. Bodies of dead Philistines were scattered all along the road to Gath and Ekron. That's the road that leads to Shaaraim. Israel's army returned from chasing the Philistines. They had taken everything from the Philistine camp. David picked up Goliath's head. He brought it to Jerusalem. He put Goliath's weapons in his own tent. Saul had been watching David as he went out to meet the Philistines. He spoke to Abner, the commander of the army. Saul said to him, Abner, whose son is that young man? Abner replied, Your Majesty, I don't know, and thus to steward your life. The king said, Find out whose son that young man is. After David killed Goliath, he returned to the camp, and Abner brought him to Saul. David was still carrying Goliath's head. Young man, whose son are you? David asked him. David said, I'm the son of Jesse from Bethlehem. David finished talking with Saul. After that, Jonathan and David became close friends. Jonathan loved David just as he loved himself. From that time on, Saul kept David with him. He didn't let him return home to his family. Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him just as he loved himself. Jonathan took off the robe he was wearing and gave it to David. He also gave him his military clothes. He even gave him his sword, his bow, and his belt. David did everything Saul sent him to do. He did so well that Saul gave him a high rank in the army. It was high that pleased Saul's whole army, including his officers. After David had killed Goliath, the men of Israel returned home. The women came out of all the towns of Israel to meet King Saul. They danced and sang joyful songs. They played harps and tambourines. As they danced, they sang, Saul has killed thousands of men. David has killed tens of thousands. That song made Saul very angry. They really are saying, he said to himself. They are saying David has killed tens of thousands of men, but they are saying I've killed only thousands. The only thing left for him to get is the kingdom of itself. From that time on, Saul watched David closely. The next day, an evil spirit sent by God came powerfully on Saul. Saul began to prophesy in his house. At the same time, David began to play the harp, just as he usually did. Saul was holding a spear. He threw it at David. As he did, he said to himself, I'll pin David to the wall. But David got away from him twice. The Lord had left Saul and was with David, so Saul was afraid of David. As he sent David away, he put him in command of 1,000 men. David led the troops in battle. Everything he did, he was very successful. That's because the Lord was with him. When Saul saw how successful David was, he became afraid of him. All the troops of Israel and Judah loved David. That's because he led them in battle. Saul said to David, Here's my oldest daughter, Merab, and I'll give her to you to be your wife. Just serve me bravely and fight the Lord's battles. Saul said to himself, I won't have to lift my hand to strike him down. The Philistines will do that. David said to Saul, Who am I? Is anyone in my whole family that important in Israel? Am I worthy to become the king's son-in-law? The time came for Saul to give his daughter, Merab, to David. Instead, Saul gave her to Adriel from Mahola to be his wife. Saul's daughter Michal was in love with David. When they told Saul about it, he was pleased. "I'll give her to David to be his wife." Saul said to himself, maybe she'll trap him, and maybe the Philistines will strike him down. So Saul said to David, "Now you have a second chance to become my son-in-law." Then Saul gave an order to his attendants. He said, "Speak to David in private. Tell him, the king likes you. All his attendants love you. So become his son-in-law." Saul's attendants spoke those very words to David. David said, "Do you think it's a small thing to become the king's son-in-law? I'm only a poor man. I'm not very well known." Saul's attendants told him what David had said. Saul said, "Tell David, here's the price the king wants for the bride. He wants you to kill 100 Philistines and bring back the skins you cut off when you circumcise them. That's how Saul will get even with his enemies." Saul hoped that the Philistines would strike David down. Saul's attendants also told David those things. Then David was pleased to become the king's son-in-law. So before the wedding day, David and his men went out and killed 200 Philistines. They circumcised the Philistines. Then David brought back all the skins. They counted out the full number and gave them to the king. By doing that, David could become the king's son-in-law. So Saul gave David his daughter Michal to be his wife. Saul also realized that the Lord was with David. He also realized that his daughter Michal loved David. So Saul became even more afraid of him. As long as Saul lived, he remained David's enemy. The Philistine commanders kept on going after them. Every time they did, David had more success against them than the rest of Saul's officers. So his name became well known. Saul told his son Jonathan and all the attendants to kill David, but Jonathan liked David very much. So Jonathan warned him, "My father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. Be very careful tomorrow morning. Find a place to hide and stay there. My father and I will come and stand in the field where you are hiding. I'll speak to him about you. Then I'll tell you what I find out." Jonathan told his father Saul some good things about David. He said to him, "Please don't do anything to harm David. He hasn't done anything to harm you, and what he's done has helped you a lot. He put his own life in danger when he killed Goliath. The Lord used him to win a great battle for the whole nation of Israel. When you saw it, you were glad. So why would you do anything to harm a man like David? He isn't guilty of doing anything to harm you. Why would you want to kill him without any reason?" Saul paid attention to Jonathan. Saul made a promise. He said, "You can be sure that the Lord lives, and you can be just as sure that David will not be put to death." So Jonathan sent for David and told him everything he and Saul had said. Then he brought David to Saul. David served Saul as he had done before. Once more war broke out. So David went out and fought against the Philistines. He struck them down with so much force that they ran away from him. And the evil spirit sent by the Lord came on Saul. It happened as he was sitting in his house and holding his spear. While David was playing the ark, Saul tried to pin him to the wall with his spear. But David got away from him just as Saul drove the spear into the wall. That night David escaped. Saul sent some men to watch David's house. He told them to kill David the next morning. But David's wife Michal warned him. She said, "You must run for your life tonight. If you don't, tomorrow you will be killed." So Michal helped David escape through a window. He ran and got away. Then Michal got a statue of God. She laid on David's bed. She covered it with clothes, and she put some goat hair at the place where David's head would have been. Saul sent the men to capture David. When Michal told them, he said, Then Saul sent the men back to see David. He told them, "Bring him up here to me in his bed. Then I'll kill him." But when the men entered, the only thing they found in the bed was the statue. Some goat hair was at the place where David's hair would have been. Saul said to Michal, "Why did you trick me like this? Why did you help my enemy escape?" Michal told him. He said to me, "Help me get away. If you don't, I kill you." After David had run away and escaped, he went to Samuel at Ramah. He told him everything Saul had done to him. Then David and Samuel went to Naioth and stayed there. Saul was told, David is in Naioth at Ramah. So Saul sent some men to capture him. When they got there, they saw a group of prophets who were prophesying. Samuel was standing there as their leader. Then the Spirit of God came on Saul's men. They also began to prophesy. Saul was told about it. So he sent some more men. They began to prophesy too. Then Saul sent some men a third time, and they also began to prophesy. Finally, Saul decided to go to Ramah himself. He went to the large well at Seku. He asked some people, "Where are Samuel and David?" "Over in Naioth at Ramah," they said. So Saul went to Naioth at Ramah. He walked along and prophesied until he came to Naioth. There he took off his clothes. There he also prophesied in front of Samuel. And he lay there without his clothes on all that day and night. That's why people say, is Saul also one of the prophets? David was a nail that Ramah. He ran away from there to where Jonathan was. He asked him, what have I done? What crime have I committed? I haven't done anything to harm your father, so why is he trying to kill me? That will never happen, Jonathan replied. You aren't going to die. My father doesn't do anything at all without letting me know. So why would he hide this from me? He isn't going to kill me. But David strongly disagreed. He said, your father knows very well that you are pleased with me. He said to himself, I don't want Jonathan to know I'm planning to kill David. If he finds out, he will be very sad. But I'm very close to being killed. And that's just as sure as the Lord and you are alive. Jonathan said to David, I'll do anything you want me to do for you. So David said, tomorrow is the time for the new moon feast. I'm supposed to eat with the king, but let me go and hide in the field. I'll stay there until the evening of the day after tomorrow. Your father might miss me. If he does, then tell him. David begged me to let him hurry home to Bethlehem. A yearly sacrifice is being offered there for his whole family. Your father might say, that's all right. But if he does, it will mean I'm safe. But he might become very angry. If he does, you can be sure he's made up his mind to harm me. Please be kind to me. You have made a covenant with me in front of the Lord. If I'm guilty, kill me yourself. Don't hand me over to your father. I would never do that, Jonathan said. Suppose I had even the smallest clue that my father had made up his mind to harm me. Then I would tell you. David asked, who will tell me if your father answers you in a mean way? Come on, Jonathan said. Let's go out to the field. So they went there together. Then Jonathan spoke to David. He said, I promise you that I'll find out what my father is planning to do. I'll find out by this time, the day after tomorrow. The Lord, the God of Israel, is my witness. Suppose my father has kind feelings toward you. Then I'll send you a message and let you know. And suppose he wants to harm you, and I don't let you know about it. Suppose I don't help you get away in peace. Then may the Lord punish me greatly. May he be with you, just as he has been with my father. May he always be kind to me, just as the Lord is. Be kind to me as long as I live. Then I won't be killed. Don't stop even when the Lord has cut off every one of your enemies from the face of the earth. So Jonathan made a covenant of friendship with David and his family. He said, may the Lord hold David's enemies responsible for what they've done. Jonathan had David promise his friendship again because he loved him. In fact, Jonathan loved David just as he loved himself. Then Jonathan said to David, tomorrow is the time for the new moon feast. You'll be missed because your seat at the table will be empty. Go to the place where you hid when all this trouble began. Go there the day after tomorrow, when evening is approaching. There's a stone out there called Ezel. Wait by. I'll shoot 3 arrows to one side of the stone. I will pretend I'm practicing my shooting. Then I'll send a boy out there. I'll tell him, go and find the arrows. Suppose I said to him, the arrows are on this side of you. Bring them here. Then come. That will mean you're safe. You won't be in any danger. And that's just as sure as the Lord is alive. And suppose I tell the boy, the arrows are far beyond you. Then go. That will mean the Lord is sending you away. Then remember what we talked about. Remember that the Lord is a witness between you and me forever. So David hid in the field. When the time for the new moon feast came, the king sat down to eat. He sat in his usual place by the wall. Jonathan sat across from him. Abner sat next to Saul, but David's place was empty. Saul didn't say anything that day. He said to himself, something must have happened to David to make him unclean. That must be why he isn't here. But the next day, David's place was empty again. It was the second day of the month. Finally, Saul spoke to his son Jonathan. He said, why hasn't the son of Jesse come to the meal? He hasn't been here yesterday or today. Jonathan replied, David begged me to let him go to Bethlehem. He said, let me go. Our family is offering a sacrifice in the tent. Oh, my brother has ordered me to be there. Are you pleased with me? If you are, let me go and see my brothers. That's why he hasn't come to eat at your table. So Saul became very angry with Jonathan. He said to him, you're an evil son. You have refused to obey me. I know that you are on the side of Jesse's son. You should be ashamed of that. And your mother should be ashamed of having a son like you. You will never be king as long as Jesse's son lives on this earth. And you will never have a kingdom either. So send someone to bring the son of Jesse to me. He must die. Why do you want to put him to death? Jonathan asked his father. What has he done? But Saul threw his spear at Jonathan to kill him. Then Jonathan knew that his father wanted to kill David. So Jonathan got up from the table. He was very angry. On that second day of the feast, he refused to eat. He was very sad that his father was treating David so badly. The next morning, Jonathan went out to the field to meet David. He took a young boy with him. He said to the boy, "Run and find the arrows I shoot." As the boy ran, Jonathan shot an arrow far beyond him. The boy came to the place where Jonathan's arrow had fallen. Then Jonathan shot it out too. "The arrow went far beyond you, didn't it?" He continued. "Hurry up, run fast, don't stop." The boy picked up the arrow and returned to his master. The boy didn't know what was going on. Only Jonathan and David knew. Jonathan gave his weapons to the boy. He told him, "Go back to town, take the weapons with you." After the boy had gone, David got up from the south side of the stone. He bowed down in front of Jonathan with his face to the ground. He did it 3 times. Then they kissed each other and cried. But David cried more than Jonathan did. Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace. In the name of the Lord, we've promised to be friends. We've said, the Lord is a witness between you and me. He's a witness between your children and my children forever." Then David left, and Jonathan went back to the town. David went to Ahimelech, the priest said no. Ahimelech trembled with fear when he met him. He asked David, "Why are you alone? Why isn't anyone with you?" David answered Ahimelech, the priest, "The king gave me a special job too." He said to him, "I don't want anyone to know what I'm sending you to do, so don't say anything about it. I've told my men to meet me at a special place. Do you have anything to eat for us to eat? Give me 5 loaves of bread, or anything else you can find." But the priest answered David, "I don't have any bread that isn't holy. I only have some holy bread here. It is for men who haven't slept with women recently." David, Proverbs 3. "My son, do not forget my teaching. Keep my commands in your heart. They will help you live many years. They will bring you peace and success. Don't let love and truth overthrow you. Tie them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, and you'll find favor and a good name in the eyes of God and people. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. In all your ways obey, and He will make your path smooth and straight. Don't be wise in your own eyes. Have respect for the Lord and avoid evil. Yeah, that will bring health to your body. You will make your bones strong. Honor the Lord with your wealth. Give Him the fair share of all your crops. Then your stories will be so full they can't hold everything. Your huge jars will spill over with fresh wine. My son, do not hate the Lord's training. Do not object when He corrects you. The Lord trains those He loves. He is like a father who trains the son He is pleased with. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom. Blessed is the one who gains understanding. Wisdom pays better than silver does. She earns more than gold does. She is worth more than rubies. Nothing in one can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand. In her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are pleasant ways. War and paths lead to peace. She is true light to those who take hold of her. Those who hold her close will be blessed. By wisdom the Lord laid the earth's foundations. Through understanding He set the heavens in place. By His knowledge the seas were separated, and the clouds dropped their dew. My son, do not let wisdom and understanding out of your sight. Hold on to good sense and the understanding of wise ways. They will be life for you. They will be like a gracious necklace around your neck. Then you will go on your way in safety. You will not trip and fall. When you lie down, you won't be afraid. When you lie down, you will sleep soundly. Don't be terrified by sudden trouble. Don't be afraid when sin inside is true. The Lord will be at your side. He will keep your feet from being caught in a trap. Don't hold back good from those who are worthy of it. Don't hold it back when you can help. Suppose you already have something to give. Don't say to your neighbor, "Come back tomorrow. I'll give it to you then." Don't plan to harm your neighbor. He lives near you and trusts you. Don't bring charges against anyone for no reason. They have not harmed you. Don't be jealous of the person who hurts others. Don't choose any of their ways. The Lord really hates sinful people, but He makes honest people His closest friends. The Lord puts a curse on the houses of sinners, but He blesses the homes of those who do what is right. He makes fun of proud people who make fun of others, and He gives grace to those who are humble and treat them. Most people receive honor, but foolish people get only shame. Psalm 67. God, have mercy on us and bless us. May You be pleased with us. Then Your ways will be known on us. All nations will see that You have the power to save. God, may the nations praise You. May all the people on earth praise You. May the nations be glad and sing for joy. You rule the people of the earth fairly. You guide the nations of the earth. God, may the nations praise You. May all the people on earth praise You. The land produces its crops. God our God, bless us. God our God blesses us. May God continue to bless us. May the people from one end of the earth to the other will have respect for Him. Now that's done, I shall now do the Lord's Prayer. Please bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as you wish to forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.